Hey, good afternoon ladies and gentlemen, Captain Taylor here with SaltyScales.com. Today I'm going to be discussing the difference between a spinning reel and a bait caster. Let's get to it. Alright guys, so first things first, we're going to talk about the spinning reel. Now the spinning reel has been around a long time. It actually was designed to take the place of the bait caster to make things more simplistic, believe it or not, and that is probably why you started off with the spinning reel. Now if you haven't gotten to fishing, this is obviously going to be probably the choice that you're going to want to go with, so that way you suffer fewer backlashes, fewer frustrations, and you have fun while fishing. Now with that being said, I think there's a place for both types of reels, a bait caster and a spinning reel, and I'm going to discuss the most important points for each particular type of reel. So with the spinning reel, the very first thing that I can suggest is that you're going to want to start off as a beginner, like I just stated, and the reason being is because it's going to cast further, you're going to be able to cast lighter lures, and you're going to have fewer backlashes or problems. Now one thing that you may run into with spinning gear, especially in windy conditions, is line twists. That's one thing that you really don't have to worry about with bait casters that you will have an issue with spinning gear. It's just a matter of time. The other thing that I really like about the spinning gear that you do not get with the bait caster is the drag. Everybody loves that. I mean, it's pure adrenaline when you hear drag being dispensed from a spool, especially at a very fast pace. So with a bait caster, your drag is mute, so you don't get to hear that adrenaline pumping sound. With a bait caster, you're either left-handed or you're right-handed. And with the spinning reel, you have a choice. Most spinning reels nowadays allow you to take the reel off and swap sides. So I can remove this cap here, and I'll show you, just like so. Alright, so you can adjust these by going ahead and removing the cap, the side cap, holding on to that, and then coming to this angle, you can go ahead and remove the handle here and swap it to the other side. And it's as quick as 1, 2, 3. So with the bait caster, obviously that isn't an option. So I'll go ahead and add this back. Go ahead and place my cap back on, and I'm in business. Now again, like I said, one of the major cons or drawbacks on these particular reels is the line twist. The other thing that you're going to notice is with a bait or with a spinning reel, when you cast these, you have to hold the line with your index finger, just like so. And a lot of times, if you're not familiar with how to cast these, this can ultimately hurt your accuracy, because if you're holding on or letting go too soon, then obviously the bait is not going to go into the trajectory that you hope that it will. So with the bait caster, guys, you do get a lot of control, and that's why you see a lot of guys, especially tournament fishermen, bass fishermen, using these. And it was very rare back in the day that you'd ever see them with a spinning rig. Today you see them a lot more, using it for finesse fishing, a lot lighter worms, things like that, and they make for great application when using them in that manner. But with a bait caster here, like this one, you have a lot of control. And when I say control, you're not like with the spinning gear, you're not using your finger. You're not using your finger to manipulate the bait to let it go. So it's not really messing with your accuracy in any sense. All you have to do is learn to adjust the spool speed, and that's ultimately what's most difficult about the bait caster. And I think that's what most of you guys are afraid of, is the backlash. I mean, we all dread the backlash, but once you practice with it, the tool, and you get good with it, they diminish greatly, and you probably have one every 50 casts or so. And I don't care who you are, you could be the greatest fisherman in the world, you're never going to completely eliminate backlashes. But I can tell you, fine-tuning your reel will help eliminate 90% of them. So I'll put the link in the description to my fine-tuning video, and I want you to go and check that out. It'll definitely help you with your backlashes and just your bait caster in general. So again, bait casters, I think they give more control, better accuracy. One thing that you're going to notice about the bait casters is typically the backbones on bait caster and rods are a lot stiffer. Therefore, you're going to get a lot of great leverage especially in close quarters when utilizing a bait caster. Hey guys, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that one reel is better than the other, because you could catch fish on both. So it really comes down to preference and what you're going to be using the reel for and how you're going to be using it. Now the bait caster, I have to say, is probably from the more experienced angler. I mean, anybody can obviously start using it, but it's not something I would recommend picking up and just running out to the water and start using. This is something you use or you purchase, you learn a little bit about on the internet, and then you go out in the backyard with a practice weight and fling that around until you get comfortable, so that way you're not completely frustrated out in the water. Another thing that I really like about this is you can stop baits on target. And what I mean by that is you can thumb this, obviously, when you're casting it, and when you reach your target, you could stop it by applying pressure on the spool. The spinning reel, you could do that, but it gets a lot more difficult. So let me show you what I mean with an up-close shot. All right, so for example, I found something or a spot that I want to cast to out in the distance. What I do is I draw back, then I go forward, thumbing it, and then when I get to my ideal subject, then I can stop the spool with my thumb by applying light pressure. And that's something that's a little bit more difficult to do with a spinning reel, but it can be done. Let me show you how to do it with a spinning reel. All right, so you can do the same things with spinning reels, but the difference is that you have to control the line by lightly touching the spool on the reel. So you place the line on your index finger, like so. All right, now you draw back just like you would a bait caster, and then you go ahead and let it go. And then you lightly take your finger, like you saw me there, and you allow the line, or you slow the acceleration of the line as it leaves the spool. Let me show you again. Just like that. So you can control exactly where you want the bait, but you have easier control, in my opinion, with the bait caster. But with practice, with both, I mean, you can get very, very accurate with either one. All right, so one of the other great benefits of the bait caster that the spinning reel lacks is its low profile. It's very easy to hold and comfortable to hold in the hand, allowing you to pretty much grasp almost the entire side of the reel, so you have really nice control over your reel, your casting, and just your fishing motion altogether. The other thing that you'll get with bait casters that spinning reels, especially smaller spinning reels, lack is heavier line. Now, this was more applicable, you know, earlier years when braid and things didn't exist. But you know, you can put heavy line on bait casters. For example, I believe this is 20-pound braid. I know you can put that on spinning reels, but what happens is it really starts to prohibit your casting distance with the heavier line that you put on those spinning reels. Again, the drag is mute, as you can hear. I'm pulling out drag here. You don't hear it. But a lot of times with fishing for a bait caster, you're typically not, you're going to have your drag in a very firm state, so you're not going to get a whole lot of drag pull. And most guys like to use these bait casters for flipping. Another advantage that you have with bait casters, like I talked about earlier, is the stiffness of the rod, and most bait casters have that really good backbone, but they also have a super fast retrieve. And I'm talking up to 10-to-1 gear ratios. I mean, you flip into some brush, a couple cranks or revolutions of the spool, and you're literally getting 50 inches of line back on the reel. I mean, those are very crucial points when choosing a bait caster over a spinning reel. So on a bait caster, you have the magnetic or centrifugal or pin cast control, which helps you to eliminate them bird's nests that you obviously don't have to worry about on a spinning reel. So for this, you have, of course, your star drag, which tightens and loosens the drag. You have your tension knob. This is what releases the line. And then you have your, usually always on the left-hand side of that reel, you're going to have your cast control. Now let me show you on the spinning reel the differences there. All right, so the same with the reel. Like I showed you before, you could change the knobs. Up here though, you have a dial. lefty loosey, righty tighty, or clockwise tighten, you know, counterclockwise loosens, and this is what ultimately adjusts your drag. Now what I do like about the spinners, like stated before, you had that audible clicker, which is a beautiful thing. Obviously with the Baitcaster, you don't have a bail. This is what you call a bail. This is what you open in order to allow the line to come off the spool. So with a Baitcaster, you don't have to worry about those things. So ultimately, this is a more simplistic application, and this is why the spinning reel was designed to take the place of the Baitcaster. But realistically, guys, there's no one that should be used more than the other. It all boils down to your comfort level, what you want to do, and how you want to fish. You can become very accurate with this. You can become very accurate with your Baitcaster. In today's day, in today's market and technology, you can put heavier lines on these. You can put heavier lines on the Baitcaster. You know, don't fall prey to what all them tournament guys are trying to sell you or pitch you. Use what's comfortable for you and get out on the water and have fun. If you enjoyed today's video, please give a like, comment below, and subscribe if you haven't already. If you have a tip or a suggestion for a video, let me know. Till next time, I'll see you on the water.